Welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. Today we are joined by the very talented Dan Flanigan, whose Peter O'Keefe series has captivated readers with its very intricate web of crime, justice, and redemption. So get ready for a very thrilling conversation as we delve into the world of private investigator Peter O'Keefe and the latest installment, An American Tragedy. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the Writers' Corner live show.
Imagine a world where the lines of reality blur with the fantastical. Embark on journeys from humble beginnings to the pinnacles of literary greatness. On the Writers' Corner, we delve into the lives of unique wordsmiths, known for their compelling storytelling. They are artisans who craft fantastical realms, etched in our memory long after the final page is turned. Every tale begins with a single word, a single idea. Authors create sensations that keep you on the edge of your seat. Witness how they transform setbacks into stepping stones, use refusals to spark growth, and turn rejections into catalysts for new inspiration. Witness the diversity in writing as it gives birth to a vast array of genres, from drama to mystery to children's stories, fantasy, and reality. Join us as we uncover sources of inspiration and the magic that defines the author's craft. Find out how authors breathe life into their characters and meticulously craft narratives and plots that captivate readers. Get a sneak peek into upcoming works and join us as we celebrate literary greatness only on the Writers' Corner. We don't just celebrate best-selling Amazon and New York Times authors, but also indie authors. Join us on the journey from the birth of a tale to the creation of a masterpiece, only on the Writers' Corner live show. Stay tuned.
If you're just joining us, then welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. If you're not yet following us on our social media channels for the Writers' Corner, please do so, because that way you'll get notified next time we go live. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Bridgetti Lim Banda from Cape Town in South Africa. And in today's show, we're going to be talking to Dan Flanigan. And our stream is made possible by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and BeLive Media. But before we introduce our amazing guest, Dan Flanigan, let me first say hello to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Mary is a fantastic friend of mine. We've been friends for many years, and she's a 5-time #1 Amazon best-selling author, a special needs and disabilities advocate, and Mary is dedicated to empowering underrepresented voices through her writing and advocacy. She's also a speaker, educator, ghostwriter, songwriter. And Mary, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Bridgetti, and we love coming together every week, being able to share authors with our audience and the world and their journeys too. So we really, really enjoyed doing this, and we have an amazing author today. This is our first time to have him, so we're super excited.
Yes, absolutely. Dan is an amazing person and an amazing author. So if you haven't met Dan Flanigan yet, he's a novelist, playwright, poet. He's also a practicing lawyer with a PhD in history from Rice University and JD from the University of Houston. Now, he's taught at the University of Houston and the University of Virginia, and served as a school desecrated lawyer and finance attorney. He's also a name partner in the Polsinelli law firm, and also founded Sierra Tucson, a prominent alcohol and drug treatment center. Without any further ado, let's welcome our amazing guest to come and join us today.
Yes. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Fine. Glad to be here.
Welcome.
Do you feel important?
Say?
Do you feel important?
No, not really.
Well, you know, when I think about all the hats that I wear and Bridgetti wears, it's nothing compared to all the hats you wear. And we want to ask you, what inspired you to create the Peter O'Keefe series? And how has your protagonist evolved over time? And we're going to just jump right in.
I never set out to write crime fiction. But at one point I wanted to write a kind of coming of age novel, rather late coming of age in somebody in their 30s. But I thought, it'd be a lot more interesting to people if I put it in a crime detective format and not just, some autobiographical looking at my navel kind of thing. So I put it in that format, and that's the first book in the series, Mink Eyes. That book was written in the 1980s. I, at the time, got an agent, had a publisher, all that. Publisher went bankrupt, and one thing after another. And I just I put it in a box and went on about my life. A few years ago, I pulled it out of the box and said, this thing really ought to be out there. And I substantially revised it and put it out there. And then in the course of that, I said, well, what will I do next? And the book is set in 1986. And I said, you know what, I'll take this group of characters and characters to be added up chronologically, up through the history of our time, so that their lives and what they do intersect with some of the major schemes, scandals, and scams that we've experienced in American life all those years. Now I'm on my fourth book, and I've made it to 1988. So I need to get moving chronologically, but it's I'm very happy I made that choice, because it really gives me something to hang on to, and almost automatically a very relevant theme or themes.
And I love the 80s. I'm an 80s kid, so.
Wow. Now, you've done an amazing job. Dan, how do you balance the darker aspects of human nature with the redemptive themes in your writing?
I'm not sure that I can answer that question very well. The redemptions are critical to every book in some way, whether it's, first of all, the main character is definitely on his own redemption program pretty much all the time, but various minor characters also go through the same thing. But there are some people that are unredeemable, and there's aspects of human nature that are unredeemable. People ask, I don't know, I'm not saying this in a theological or a religious sense, but it's original sin. We're fundamentally flawed as human beings, and struggle most of our lives, or all of our lives, to try and become better. Some don't, some can't. And that's why we have literature.
Very, very true. Very true. And you're exploring so many things in your books. Your books often explore, just like we're talking about redemption, and that it's some things are not redeemable, real life events and social commentary. Can you share an example from an American tragedy?
of a redemption aspect, or
a real life event in social commentary.
well, the American tragedy gets into a really troublesome subject, which is the satanic panic and moral panic of the 1980s and 1990s in the U.S. And it's about child sexual abuse, and people wrongly accuse of child sexual abuse. And probably just gave away a bunch right there. But it is very much of that time, and it's fiction all the way, but it's very believable and is grounded in having read deeply in a lot of the nonfiction work about all that, and court cases and all those primary sources.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, with so many hats, as Mary mentioned earlier, as a lawyer and a writer, how do you navigate the intersection of justice and morality in your storytelling?
I hope I'm not too cynical, but I do consider a great deal of the justice system to be a lottery system, and who knows what's going to happen to you. And it's not always about justice, and it's often overblown to be something greater than it is. So there's a lot of that in my books of outcomes that aren't necessarily justified, that may or may not be right, but might be right for the wrong reasons, or things that people could not predict. And O'Keefe, the main character, is definitely not always on top of everything. He's learning as he goes along, and feeling his way, and he gets things wrong sometimes.
Well, what advice would you give to aspiring writers who want to tackle complex, thought-provoking topics in their work? Because not everybody can do that as a writer, and a lot of people want to, but it doesn't mean they're going to effectively do it.
Yeah, the only way I can give a decent answer to that question is to be a little bit autobiographical. I decided I wanted to be a writer in high school, and then I spent most of my life not being a writer and being very frustrated about that. And there's a lot of reasons that I didn't. That those include, you're successful at something else. You don't even know how to begin to enter. At that time, there was no self-publishing, Amazon and all that. There were nothing but gatekeepers that you somehow had to get through. There was, in my case, alcoholism. But I'm not sure I really had anything to write about. And what I punished myself, and unfortunately my wife too, for a long time, for quote selling out. I'm actually glad the way it worked out, because number one, I have life experience now, and I'm not sure that a lot of what I was going to write at any given point in the decades from the time I wanted to be a writer was just kind of pouring out my own self if you will, and that only goes so deep and so far, and that's why I've been when I finally did settle down and get some writing done. The very first thing I did was a play on Eleanor Marx, the youngest daughter of Karl Marx, as far out of my own experience and consciousness and everything else that you can imagine. And so if I have anything to recommend, and I don't think I have the arrogance to really believe that I have all that much, is to think about, it's just like with this O'Keeffe thing, finding a way to tell someone else's story, not just your own, and put it in a larger context. And it's amazing then how much by dealing with other characters and situations that aren't yours and other consciousnesses that aren't yours, how much you can really accomplish. That's actually interesting to yourself and to other people. Even in the O'Keeffe books, I do have people, more than one, that say, "Oh, I see you there, I see you there." But I, for example, tried to put myself, and this is not flattering if you read the books, more into O'Keeffe's best friend, a character named Harrigan, that's a lawyer, than in the main character, because I'm trying to give him something beyond just whatever I am.
Wow, that is amazing.
I don't know if I really got there, but that's my reaction to your question.
No, that's okay. How do you see the series evolving in the future? And are there specific themes that you would like to explore next?
Things will come up that I haven't thought about yet. For example, this Satanic Panic book that I just did, that just seized me out of the blue, and then I couldn't let it go, or it wouldn't let me go. So I'm not sure what will come up, but I do have the next few notions of what the next books are about. One I've actually started on, although it's very early in the process, is about the rise of the white power, militia, survivalist movement in the 80s and 90s that ultimately led to the Oklahoma City bombing. So that's this book's main. Oh, there's two things going on in these books. One is the larger issue, and the other is the struggle that the various main characters and other characters have in terms of living their own lives within that context. I'd like to do a book about the foster care system in the U.S., kind of Oliver Twist type of book, and I don't get much beyond that right now. But as I move through, time here, and it's nice to be anchored in to have chronologically, although it has its drawbacks. O'Keeffe has an 11-year-old daughter. I gotta, what am I going to do when she grows up? Sort of thing. But
You've picked some really interesting topics to write about, but they're all very important topics to discuss. So I'm really glad that your writing journey has kind of taken you down that path, because those are some tricky and sort of hot topics to challenge yourself to maneuver through. Your writing often blends genres, though, from crime fiction to literary fiction. So can you discuss with us and our audience your approach to storytelling and how you craft your narratives? And you've touched on a little bit of that, but can you expand on that for us?
Yes. I do try to let the narrative take over at some point. The first three O'Keeffe books, for example, are, well, backing all the way up. My first books were first a book of poetry, which is a book called Tenebrae, and it's about the last illness and death of my wife. And that, in fact, triggered me to get seriously and fully back to writing. Then I did a book of short fiction that very different than these crime things. But then I started on the O'Keeffe series, and I'm probably stuck there. And I don't mean that quite that way, but it's just a great enterprise to carry on, or at least enjoyable for me. And but the first three books, O'Keeffe got himself in trouble in the first book with the local mafia, almost accidentally. And even though that book was really supposed to be a coming of age kind of thing about O'Keeffe, one thing leads to another. And even though these books are standalone, and I really believe that you can enjoy them standalone, the first three are sort of a trilogy of how all that works out in his life. But a lot of other things happen in the books. But that was what I mean by the narrative taking over. And so I'm not. I have a lot of notions about a book. I have a really rough outline, but I don't do a super detailed outline. And I have all kinds of instances where I got stuck, where I got in a cul-de-sac that I had to get out of, to pursue something that didn't make any sense, or stumbled upon all kinds of things in the course of writing it that I hadn't planned that work out. I hope well.
Yeah, and I think you've done pretty well with that. And one of the viewers on Amazon just asked a similar question, and I think you kind of answered that. So that's worked out great. What role do you think writers play in shaping the understanding of justice, morality, and the human condition?
Again, I hope this isn't too cynical. I don't think we've done a very good job to look around. And I'm not that pessimistic, although I hope I'm realistic about human nature. On the whole, I don't see writers as, and this goes against almost everything I've ever heard anybody say, writers are the great moral, etc., and tellers of truth and all that. I'm not sure they really are, and that their impact has been all that important. As I say these things, I don't know if I believe what I'm saying, but I'm reacting on the spot. But put it this way, I don't elevate what I'm doing now in a way that I might have when I was young, because I thought, quote, being a writer was the thing. And I think I know a lot more about life than that. The one thing I do believe about writing is, and this is so much of a cliche, but I just find it to be so true. Storytelling is a fantastic thing. We interpret our whole world in the form of stories, and to be able to add interesting stories that actually make some kind of contribution is a good goal, I think, and one I have. And I want to say some odd thing. One of the absolute proofs that I believe I have that storytelling is absolutely wired. I don't know if it's like this with you, but if I will doze off, I will immediately have a dream going on with a story in it. I mean, it's there. It's as if the brain is really always working some story in the background. So I think in that sense, that part of writer's contribution to the world is great.
It is really beautiful. Can you hold up the book that you have there so we can see the cover, so everybody can see the covers that you have?
Sure. And this one is not the current one that's coming out. It will be published June 25th, that An American Tragedy. But this is the second one in the series. It's called The Big Tilt. And it, by the way, has really been the most popular one of all the books so far, in terms of winning prizes and that kind of thing.
Yes. So, it has won some awards. So, anyone watching, go out there and grab a copy from Amazon for yourself and buy a copy for a friend. Right?
And these books are on every format you could think of, including audiobooks. In the case of the 3 OQ books so far, American Tragedy will be. I always wait, though, till the print book comes out to get all the bugs out before I go to the audiobook.
Yeah. Oh, audiobooks are great for traveling, right? Cleaning house, driving on the road, sitting on the beach. So, yes.
Absolutely. Right. Congratulations. That book has done really well. It's received so much praise and awards. So congratulations. And again, congratulations on your latest book. I know that it's going to do well as well. And I want to say a massive thank you to you for coming on to our show today on the Writer's Corner. We really appreciate that you've been able to slot in this interview at short notice. We're incredibly appreciative of that. And we look forward to welcome you back again when your next book releases. But congratulations on this latest one. And I know it's going to be well received and get the kind of reviews your other work has, because you do great stuff. You really do great stuff. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And I want to say that I do a lot of these podcasts, and you two have been among the most well-prepared on very short notice, and actually interested enough to know enough things to ask some interesting questions. I don't know if my answers were interesting, but that's much appreciated. So thank you.
Dan, thank you so much for being here today. And no, thank you for your answers. And thank you for what you're doing. So it's wonderful work. And you've been given a gift. And that really is priceless, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Dan, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and for joining us on the Writer's Corner live show. Also to our amazing audience who has joined us on all the various social media platforms, we want to give a huge big shout out to each of you. Thank you for joining us live on the show today. And if you're catching this on the replay, then welcome to the replay as well. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the Writer's Corner live show. Thank you for joining us on the Writer's Corner live show. 30 minutes of insightful author conversations with some of the biggest names in the industry, including award-winning authors and international indie sensations. Join us on the next episode of the Writer's Corner live show.